Hey, welcome back. Welcome back. Thanks for sticking around. Sorry, we've had a little bit of a problem with the technologies. I blame the interwebs. I don't know about you. But we are back on and ready to rock with our next game, which unfortunately we had a little bit of a delay there, so you have to beat this even faster than ever before. Next up, we've got VGM, or if you want to read it, iivgmii, and they are going to be playing Death End Request 2 with an extra semicolon for no readily apparent reason, just because it makes it go cooler. So please tell us about your game.
Okay, so this is Death End Request 2. It's a JRPG made by Idea Factory and Compile Heart. This run's going to be on hard mode with no DLC on a new game file, which means it's going to be pretty difficult. Thankfully, we have a lot of strats to help us out, so it's not going to be too big of a deal. There's the true end, bad end bid war. If bad end gets met, it's going to be an absolute disaster, I'm sure. So if you want to see me try to do a run that I've never actually done intentionally before, that'll be interesting. Otherwise, true end is my forte. Bad end is faster on a good run. Otherwise, I prefer true end. The current true end record is currently faster. So that's enough about this game. Commentators, can you introduce yourselves before we get started?
Yeah, I'm Devonshu. I'm another runner of this game. I've routed the lower difficulties as well as helping about with the hard route. And while I don't necessarily agree that True End is better, it's certainly a much more stable run. So if you want to see a few more shenanigans, then definitely donate for the bad ending.
My name is Z Freshpanoy. I'm one of the runners for the Death End Request series. I started running this game like the same as these guys. You guys should donate for the fallen end, which is the bad end or true end. You might see some little excitement for that. Also, a little bit shout outs for the game's music, especially.
Okay, so I suppose we can get ready to get started?
Yeah, go ahead and get started. Please give us a countdown.
Okay, so time starts in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, to go. There's just a lot of cutscene skips right here at the start. Just trying to get through these intro cutscenes as much as possible.
Yeah, he's playing on the PC version, which has the fastest loads, and in general, some of the minor things are faster, but it's mainly the load times.
Yeah, the PS4 load times are actually, from what I've seen, kind of atrocious, which is a bit unfortunate. That might change with the PS5, but that is remain to be seen.
Yeah. Of course, not too long now until the PS5 is out, although I'm not sure if any of our community is going to get one, like, in the near future to actually test these kind of games on it just yet.
So, a bit of a thing that right now with the character he's playing right now as the main, which is Mai, he did a hacking, which is one of the skills for the character. Eventually, at a point, you had to do it the first time, and then the rest you don't have to do it at all for the walls. So you can just pass through them.
Yeah, like he says, the first hacking is the only necessary one until a little later on when you have to start revealing hidden items with it as well. And also, turn order in this game, he did do one fight just now, it was really fast, but turn order in this game has a huge random element to it, which is really annoying when routing, but does make it possible to beat the game at a lower level than it would be possible without it. And he managed to go first in that first fight, which is actually kind of rare, since those enemies are quite fast on hard mode. The difficulty in this game gives a straight increase to enemy stats. Easy mode has like the lowest HP and the lowest defenses. Normal is the same offensive stats as easy, but with double the HP. and then hard mode increases all of the stats and doubles the HP again from normal mode. So enemies end up being quite big bags of HP, as we will see on certain boss battles.
Also, shoutouts to these enemies, they actually could see you from so far away, even from the edges of the corners.
Yeah, they can actually chase you down narrow corridors, which might become a problem later on in the run, which I'm hoping it won't be, because that would be a party wipe, and that'd be bad. But for now, they're not too dangerous. I do need to avoid these encounters, though, otherwise I will have to full heal before the next fight, otherwise I will die. Because this is hard mode.
The next chapter will be introducing a new enemy later on, but you'll see it at some point. It'll be introduced as a tutorial. So right now VGM is getting like gear and equipment for the beginning portion, and he will be doing his very first end of chapter 1 fight.
Yeah, he has a couple of options. Well, not so much in hard mode, but on other modes you can decide whether to go and pick up that weapon that's been out of the way, or you can enter a shop and buy one, but that weapon ends up being worth it on all but the easiest difficulty, just because it's actually stronger than the one you can get from the shop. This is also the only difficulty where you actually have to use a healing skill on this fight.
Yeah, that's also why you have to really watch your health right before this fight, otherwise it will be a game over.
Yeah, these enemies do not kill you in one turn, ever, if you're at full health, but if you're anywhere below full health, then you're screwed. And if you reach a certain level of... I mean, if you run out of your SP, like, it's pretty standard magic points, technical points, whatever you want to call it, that's just... if you just can't use special moves anymore, you don't really have any way to heal and you're dead.
So right there I took an intentional encounter to increase what is known as corruption. On the trigger of chapter 2, we actually gained a new ability known as glitch mode. If our corruption equals 80%, we will transform and gain new abilities, which is known as a glitch skill. My glitch skill deals quite a bit of damage and also makes her invincible for 1 turn if the last hit lands. And it also just overall increases our stats. So I need to get around 20% corruption before this next fight, so I can then get glitch mode. Because the 80% glitch does not actually transfer, but you can transfer less than 80% glitch between.
So this is what I was mentioning about the last chapter. You get a new enemy on the map that will be coming in different parts of the map. It'll be like a shadow that will be following you. If you touch the shadow, you get an instant game over. Which is why VGM was mentioning that the corridors of the alleyways or corridors are really tight on trying to escape. So he'll be seeing a lot of like high risk of dodging, but he'll play a little bit more safe on those. He also did gain another party member, which is Roddy, which is Ranger. You don't get to hear her bang, by the way, since it's in Japanese. And another thing about glitch mode, as VGM was talking about, in Death and Request 2, you can go over 80% to up to 100%, which you can maintain your glitch form. Except in like the first game, where if you go over 100%, you will die. They changed it in this game where you don't die in this one.
Yeah, so this game, they kind of made glitch mode make you stronger with basically no drawbacks, and they also balance the game around you realizing this, so you're basically intended to have glitch mode on every boss battle, otherwise they become absurdly difficult.
Yeah, there are going to be a lot of one-shots and potential one-shots that are going to be happening to my party, as well as potential party wipes, so we'll be saving before a lot of boss fights. Because this is otherwise not very safe.
Yeah, there are only a few bosses that can kill VGM's run based on RNG without him making any mistakes, but there are a fair few more which, if there are like even slight mistakes, will kill the run.
So there are gonna be these types of like obstacles you'll be seeing throughout. They put plenty of this in the second game compared to the first game, so you're gonna be seeing it. But as the story progresses, you will not see these again, or because the whole map changes itself. So you'll be seeing VGM come back to this point in time where there's gonna be totally different stuff or an additional chest he'll pick up.
So yeah, another fight which is exactly the same as the first mini boss we get in this chapter. Just pick up the bugs on the ground to get glitch mode and kill it in one hit. Sometimes your other party member gets one shot, it doesn't matter because the experience given by those mini bosses is very low. And in the next chapter, because this is hard mode, there'll actually be an experience grind to reach certain agility thresholds and also, or speed thresholds, and also to a lesser extent the damage. And you'll get more EXP from one mob battle than you will from that mini boss by a considerable margin.
Also, if you did not realize, VGM just did a choice back there. So there is the normal choice and the death end choice. The death end choice pretty much is like instant game over. So in Death End Request 1, where if you choose the wrong one, you get a game over and you don't save, it's pretty much over for that. Well, in Death End Request 2, when you choose the bad end, you can restart from your last choice. So for the sequel, they made it a little bit much easier, like I said, for like glitch mode and such. VGM is going to pick up every save point. Every time you touch a save point, you register it for when you want to move to a different location later on, which you'll be using later on. So this is also another example of tight corners, and especially the mobs on the map can differ, and their hitboxes are dependent.
Yeah, the enemies have hitboxes that actually fairly accurately match their visual appearance, and the thing about Death End Request is that especially later on in the game, they really love really big enemies, and even at this point of the game, there are still some fairly large ones, so you can expect a lot of blocked corridors. Thankfully, it's been somewhat kind so far.
I pressed the button one too many times there. Oops.
Hmm.
In the very first version of this game on PC, if I pressed the button there twice and the text box didn't pop up and I swung her weapon, that would be known as a UI glitch, and it would be a soft lock and I would have to restart the run. Thankfully, the developers actually fixed that in this version. However, all of the regular menus and force menus run at 30 FPS instead of 60, which makes a lot of fights take 2 times longer to load. It's still faster than PS4 by a landslide, but it's unfortunate.
Hey, it's better than crashing, right?
And yeah, what we're saying is that the version that did have the glitch had 60 FPS menus, just to be absolutely clear about that. So, in theory it's slower, this new version, but because you don't run into the glitch, it ends up being faster just because the glitch actually happened, like, guaranteed if you played for long enough. It was some kind of overload, which you could not avoid no matter what you did, unless you had some kind of god computer. So he picked up a few chests of Osiris farms. They're actually items you can use to revive a party member in battle, but they're also pretty much your only source of cash in early game, unless you grind mobs. They happen to be the fastest way to get a quick bit of money to upgrade the weapons a bit, since there haven't been very good equipment chests since that very first weapon in Chapter 1. But now the EXP grind, as I mentioned a little earlier, will begin. Need to... By the end of this chapter, we need quite a few levels, like over almost 20 levels, but for the time being, we're just looking for maybe 10 to 15, depending on how the luck goes. We are going to recruit a new party member, and they join in at a certain level So if he does a ton of grind before that party member joins, then that party member will be underleveled. But at the same time, you want to run into, well, you want to fight most of the mobs you run into, and if you get good ones, then you're just going to end up with that party member underleveled, and you just deal with that.
So in the battles also that you see where VGM is getting the bugs that are on the ground in each battle, they don't respawn. They don't. Oh, this. Hopefully you're.
The game being the game.
I didn't save.
Just reload whatever's your closest save, or if you don't have one, I can quickly send you one. So triple check, or you could just keep playing at this point.
Was that a death ending?
Yes, I do not have a backup save.
Let me double check if I've got one, and if not, then just play again.
I could do again. I could just go a little bit over estimate.
Yeah.
Do whatever you have to do. You're only about 13 minutes in, so do whatever you feel you comfortable with.
I could send him one that's at the start of the chapter.
Yeah, that'll work.
Hold on. That's probably still going to be faster than you playing to this point, yeah. Where are we? Sick.
Yeah, what just happened with that enemy is not normal. They do not normally teleport behind you.
Yeah, this is Death End Request 2. Sometimes it does this. Anyway, let me just find that file.
So what happened there is the moment that if you saw the shadow that spawned earlier, it bugs all the enemies moving away from you. So when the shadow despawned, the enemy which was running away despawned and respawned back of him. Then it saw him and it confronted him. So pretty much he had a back attack. So that kind of killed him.
Okay, I've dropped
Also,
into Neptunia Discord's general channel. So
it's
grab
worth
that.
noting that that is a never happened before moment in a run. I have never died there like that. Ever. Marathon luck.
Yeah.
I've been posting all throughout the marathon about never happened before memes. Well, it has now happened to me.
So
Because of course it did.
yeah, once you do get that save loaded up, it's in slot 7, and you'll need to change the voice language, maybe. I'm not sure if that's saved to the save or saved to the system data.
Give me a quick second. You said it's in... Okay. Thankfully, changing saves is relatively easy.
Yep.
Not a big deal. Remote. Paste. You said slot 7. Let me get my notes up.
So
Or is it slot 6? Wait.
It said slot 6.
Oh, I sent you the wrong one then.
So
Oh, no, just load this one. Just load this one. This is
I don't know where
enough.
this... We'll see. Where am I going?
I think you're in the beginning of the.
Oh, this is chapter 7. I mean, this is chapter 2. Before the Mary. So you can use this one, or you can...
Close enough.
Yeah, good enough. This at least saves like 5 minutes or something, so we'll take it. You probably have to fight an encounter for corruption, though.
I believe my corruption is at 30.
Oh.
So we'll have to dub the shadow as, we'll say, Slenderman, because we call it Slendy in short because the way how it pops up. It doesn't just randomly pop out anywhere. It pops up in fixed locations. But if you don't know you don't know its locations, usually we pretty much think of it as like Slenderman just coming out of nowhere. So
Yeah.
I think if you go ahead.
Oh yeah, the locations of where the shadow spawns are fixed. That there's only a chance that he actually spawns at each one, besides that very first one. Some of them are more likely than others. Some of them you want him to spawn because he will make other enemies move out of your way. Other ones you want him to not spawn so that you can take a more direct path to where you're going.
Which will be seen later on why we want him to spawn. Other cases it just depends on how tight his walking window is. Oh, back to the choices.
Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah, as Chad is saying, this game was actually originally on PS4, but unfortunately some of the graphics are a bit blurry in-game. It's just unfortunate.
Oh, you have the audio. Is it JP?
No, yeah, it seemed like it did the system data, so I didn't need to adjust anything.
Okay, so we're back in Chapter 3, finally. Hopefully.
What do you
I'm
mean?
actually going to
Nothing-
save in the shopping district this time.
Nothing
Yeah.
happened. Nothing happened. What are you talking about?
Yeah, nothing happened at all. I totally didn't die.
Probably just need to save after doing a shop, I reckon is the best time.
Yeah, I have an issue with not safety saving. I guess that's what I deserve.
Hmm. We have plenty more practice saves if something goes wrong again, but hopefully it won't come to that again.
Don't worry, Chad. He just extended it so you guys can choose his ending.
True, we do. Unfortunately, if you guys had picked Fallen Ending and if the run had gone well, this would have had like at least an outside shot at getting the world record for the Fallen Ending category. With what just happened, obviously that won't be happening anymore, but you can still donate to choose your ending. Do you want the bad ending or the boring ending? It's completely up to you.
Well, apparently, BGM got his. Roddy is thirsty.
Yeah, they get to hear those dialogue lines twice.
That means you also get to hear Roddy scream twice. Did she already do that?
Not sure
Not
where the
sure.
scream is, honestly, yeah. But yes, a lot of Roddy's character is that she is really into Mai, and she makes this very clear from the start.
I think Roddy is majority everyone's favorite Death and Request 2 character. But these are like the major 3 characters that are actually played. Later on you'll find out we get additional characters, but I think the route was changed slightly where we don't use them that much before originally. Where a JP runner usually used to use uses different character.
Yeah, it's a bit up and down. Like,
Yeah.
we use more of certain characters and less of others compared to the original route. Also, we haven't actually met the third main character yet, so we'll get there soon, I swear. So, doing that menu again, sell the revival items, get the weapons,
I'm saving this time.
and save.
Save Dono.
But hopefully we won't get teleported behind. In a
Yeah,
really glitchy manner.
Sometimes the enemies in this game just don't behave. It was not in any way expected for it to happen like it did there.
Oopsies. There we go. In practice earlier, enemies were doing really weird things, like teleporting and all that, but I didn't expect it to actually end up getting me killed. But hey, lesson learned, I guess. Be careful of enemies. Hard mode is hard.
Yeah. A back attack can get you killed on any difficulty, even easy to be fair. But on hard mode it's obviously way more likely.
I think I prefer getting the back attack than Slenderman taking me from the corners.
I mean, VGM has some stories about Slenderman.
Right, and I'm gonna encounter and then getting frame perfected out of the fight and killed. That's funny.
Yeah, there was that, and then there's also the fact that if you... Because you can see that when he attacks an enemy, he swings my sword, and that gives him the first strike, or at least boosts his speed. And if you do that, and you happen to catch the Shadow, the Slenderman, with the hitbox of your sword, that counts as you hitting it, and gives you a game over.
You
So
actually
that's
did
really
that?
fun. That's what, yeah. Not me.
Oh my god.
But yes, that is something that has happened in a speedrun of this game.
Totally didn't happen in one of mine. I totally didn't lose a pretty good run to that.
So yeah, this mob grind is pretty much the same strategy in every fight. These enemies are actually hard enough that he does need glitch mode for every mob battle. It doubles your attack stats. It also increases your defensive stats, although that's not going to be relevant really, apart from very limited circumstances.
So later on, you're gonna see a strat that was, well, not I say after a few attempts later on made, where they're gonna be taking advantage of the knockback system, which was one of the features of originally Death End Request 1, and they brought it back. But they brought back an extra to it, so I think it was chapter. Are you doing chapter? You doing chapter 3? For that
Yes,
boss?
this is chapter 3. We had to restart chapter 3.
No. Do you do it for the boss for chapter?
No,
no.
really.
It was chapter 4, right?
No. Backup use isn't really used until chapter 7. Chapters 4 through 6 have their own thing, which we'll get to.
Okay.
But that's mainly due to how those fights work in general.
Yes, as Refresh was heading towards the knockback system in this game, it's very broken. You could deal, I think my record in terms of damage dealt was 2.5 million in one attack because of knockback. It's absolutely ridiculous. Of course, that was just pure luck. Also on the final boss of this game, but pure luck. Knockback can be really broken.
Also, yeah, 2.5 million is not a kill on the final boss of the game, and since we're currently dealing about 5,000 damage at most, maybe, I think you can see that the numbers in this game quickly escalate. It's not completely unheard of in JRPGs, of course, but
Shout out to
the end of this game really does like its massive HP nerds.
Yes, doubling the HP from normal to hard is definitely no joke.
Yeah, that's actually quite a big change in how it worked from the original game. In Death End Request 1, the HP doesn't actually change at all from normal to hard, and all they did is made it so you take way more damage. And so that the field bugs in the game, like the things you BGM is running over to get those. In the first game, those dealt damage to you based on the difficulty, and on hard mode, they dealt a crazy amount of damage to you. Up to the point where one bug could deal 80% of your health. In this game, there are only a small amount of bugs that deal damage to you, but the ones that do are actually kind of important to boss battles, as we will see in Chapter 4.
Also note, every time you jump from the platforms on top, you jump off, you do kind of stun yourself a little, so it gives enemies a chance to get you, but it's not that long. It just depends on where. You also can fall on an enemy and get a back attack, so that's kind of a thing also.
So this is the mini boss of this chapter. It's gonna hopefully go down pretty quick. Yeah.
It has a lot of arms, man.
The normal strategy on this fight is to run Mai up and guard so that she can live the hits that the boss does, and then have your second character, Roddy, kill it in one turn, but because of random turn order, Roddy just managed to move before the boss this time. That's pretty rare, but you take it if it happens. And that is what this game speedrun ends up being quite a lot of the time. You just have to roll with the punches in terms of turn order. Sometimes if you get outspeed, you're just dead, but as was said in chat by Ozdaka, the random turn order is in your favor. You can outspeed bosses that have quite a significantly higher speed stat than you do, so most of the time you can sort of rely on going first, but if you get a bad roll, then that can just be the end of your run.
I feel like you just want the full all-around VGM for that. So, when I said that he's touching save points to get the teleport, this is one of the reasons why he needs it for. Because you're going to be backtracking on a lot of places to go back to. Especially when you do certain choices, you will be going back to it.
Yeah, just to note, he only just unlocked the quick jump system. It's basically tied to getting the third character, which doesn't actually have yet, but at this event marker, that's when you get her, Liliana. And she starts at level 20 no matter what level your other party members are. This is a pretty average grind, so I think they're around level 23, 24, which is pretty normal. And it means that, assuming that he does enough grind to get the other characters to the level that we want, which is around 28, 29, Liliana's level will be high enough that she doesn't fall too far behind, which can cause some weird issues. You mainly want levels on Mai, the main character, the one that he's running around as, because she ends up getting the highest speed value, and you need to outspeed certain bosses so that they don't party wipe you before you can move at all. Mai ends up being the easiest way to do that, but the level of the other characters does matter in terms of killing bosses in the correct number of turns.
Yeah, weirdly enough, it is possible to get too lucky in the grind in this chapter and have issues with the later boss because of Liliana being way too underleveled. I had that on a run where I was 2 minutes ahead of PB/world record on True End, and then spent 4 minutes dying because my damage was too low, and that run died, unfortunately, because I got way too lucky during EXP grinds here. So yeah, oddly enough, getting too lucky is very possible.
Save point.
Save point on me.
Yep. So VGM has actually just done an optional mini-boss, which is actually against exactly the same enemy that he fought as the main mini-boss of the chapter a little earlier, except this time it was as a normal mob encounter, so he was able to get the first strike relatively easily and just kill it, even though there were two of them this time. And if you kill that mini-boss again, you get the Agile Ring, which is pretty much the strongest ring accessory you can get for almost the whole game. It gives you 66 attack and 66 speed. At the moment, if you go to the shop and try to buy a ring, you can get either like 30 attack or 50 speed. And so getting 66 of both on one item, yeah, that is pretty good. And Mai and Liliana will be using that. Mostly Mai, but occasionally Liliana. And even on the lower difficulties, you want to get that item. Even though you have to fight an extra encounter for it and accept the quest earlier on and hand it in.
So the next boss is like if you were doing your casual, you can actually beat. You have enough bugs to actually do a lot of glitch mode for this one. So you shouldn't really run out of bugs unless you run out of bugs, just like wondering why. But the boss of this boss can heal.
Yeah. This boss does exactly one heal after exactly 3 turns. Like on his third action he'll always heal. And he heals for almost his whole HP bar, so on hard mode it is not worth it to attack him before the heal. On other difficulties it can be, depending on the strat you're doing. But on hard mode you just stall, and also after he does that heal, he also does way too much damage, so the only way you can practically win this fight on hard mode, other than doing basically chain revivals, is to abuse Mai's glitch mode skill, which gives you invincibility, and just have him attack Mai every turn. In this game, targeting by bosses is reasonably consistent in that most bosses will just target whoever's closest to them, but there are some exceptions. Like if you have 2 party members next to each other, then sometimes, not always, but sometimes the boss will prioritize targeting the 2 if it can hit both at once. And the final boss of this game is especially known for that, but we'll get to that later, depending on the ending chosen.
Alright. How many bugs are on the ground, chat?
Yeah, that is a good question. How many bugs did the game actually start with in this battle? You can see there's a lot of them, but just how many were there?
I don't even know.
Yeah, I don't know the exact number, but I do know, like, the ballpark.
It just takes the whole map.
They're not even as close to each other as they can be. There are some other
I know.
fields that have the bugs closer to each other, but they do cover the whole field in general.
Okay, so there I had to take the fight a bit slow because I kept constantly missing a skill flash. Lunadire is the upgraded magic ability, and I'm gonna need that for a fight coming up. I got incredibly unlucky with skill flashes, though. You can flash skills by using certain actions, which will, depending on the action you use in your turn, you will have a higher chance of gaining certain skills.
So, Idea Factory added a cheat to Death and Request 1 for flashing skills, where it had like an exclamation mark when it first released in English. Death and Request 2 does not show it, but you can get an idea of it.
Yeah, in the first game of Death and Request 2, you had to use at least 2 specific skills as a combination. Sometimes it could be the same skill twice, but you always had to use at least 2 in order to have a chance to flash a new move. And that was the only way you could get new moves at all in that game. In the second game, you get a mixture of level up skills and skills using that system, but they also changed the system quite a lot to, like Zephyr said, you no longer get hints about when you're going to get a move, but you can also sometimes get moves by only using 1 skill. So VGM said that the skill he was after is the upgraded magic skill, but you actually get it by using an upgraded physical skill that you learn through level up. And it was a 20% chance every time he tried to learn that skill, but considering the number of turns he had to get it, he got pretty unlucky to wait as long as he did.
Every time you see VGM actually pick up like yellow like icon keys, yellow key icons are for opening pathways. So, like for example, you see like a glass flashing door. He needs those keys before he progresses, or he cannot progress the story at all. So there's like certain keys to it. And like in the earlier, like first chapter with the PC hacking that Mai has as a skill, which is not really used after the first initial one, her hacking skill will be used for other stuff too, like looking for certain hints. But since this is a speedrun, we can point it out later on.
Yeah, the key items in this game are only one certain type of item. They let the third character we got, Liliana, use her bug skill to smash through those doors, which are like flashing white, and it's like, yeah, like flashing white rectangles. There's one on screen right now, although he's not going to actually go through that one. But you use one key item pickup to destroy one door, but you can pick up a key from anywhere and use it anywhere. So what we end up doing is stockpiling keys in early games so that we don't have to go out of our way in late game to pick up keys, which are generally more out of the way, because any key is good for any door in this game, unlike a lot of other JRPGs.
My god, I don't even know what chat's saying. Oh my god.
Oops. Whoopsies.
So
I was going for a corruption grind, but accidentally went over with my...
Yeah. Later on in the game, you start getting into mob battles where you don't have very good bugs, or the enemies will outspeed you even if you use the first strike. And you still need to get corruption before you actually do boss battles, so you end up coming back to this forest where we did the Chapter 3 mini-boss and the Chapter 3 boss to grind corruption for other chapters' bosses, meaning that, yeah, you can see a lot of this forest. It just happens to be the best balance between easy mobs and good bugs on the ground to get corruption from.
I know.
Also, I see chat is having a very interesting discussion.
Yeah.
Oh, so we're actually coming to that boss. VGM's favorite boss.
Everyone's favorite boss. So,
So definitely VGM will be saving here because it's very crucial he gets the strat right. What he's gonna do. There's gonna be a new bug on the field which is really crucial to use. Back then it was not used. Now it's being used more for damage dealing, which is a bug mine. Which
Yeah, I
deals
think it deals combat damage.
Yeah, it deals percentage-based damage, somewhere between 20 and 25. It's a bit random, but it's never as high as 25% and never as low as 20. Just happens to fall somewhere into that range depending on what the game feels like, and possibly other factors. But
I forgot how the boss works though on the healing portion though.
this boss is a bit more random on when she heals. It's not really consistent. You just hope that you can deal enough damage in one turn and it's not really relevant.
So every boss will have a chance of healing, in other words. So that's gonna be a thing.
Yeah, for an upcoming boss, it's sort of threshold based, but I've had runs where she just said no to healing entirely, and I've also had runs where all she did as soon as I would damage her was heal, and then she would party wipe me. So yeah, this next boss is not only can she go first and use a billion actions, it's also very common for her to get what's known as a double turn and get 6 actions, which is basically a guaranteed party wipe. You miss constantly against it, which means I can miss invincibility and get party wiped. I can miss knockback as well, which also means I'm very likely to die. It's just an overall not fun experience with this upcoming fight.
So
you do have some. Oh yeah. You do have some margin for error on this fight. Well, not necessarily error, but you have some leeway to where you might not die because there are 4 trip mines and you only really need 3 of them.
Save Done.
Save point to me.
Setting up Liliana for attack.
Did you
Because
save?
Mai is the only one that really has a chance
Yes, I did.
of outspeeding.
Oh, he actually. So you have another way of saving, which is also in the menuing of the text. Though it has a little bit of high risk of not able to do any other menuing afterwards.
Here we have avoided both memes. We got an invincibility and knockback on that turn. What does Liliana's turn have? We got knockback. I might be missing damage? I hope not.
Looks okay, but let's see.
Okay, good.
Targets sighted. Mine landed.
So yeah, he just has to knock back Succubus into the trip line 3 times, and that generally kills her in combination once you add together that damage with the damage your characters deal themselves. But if you get unlucky, then it won't kill and she'll heal, or she might decide to give you mercy and not heal, but she might wipe your party. And there's a lot of ways that fight can go wrong. It just didn't this time because RNG is RNG and sometimes it just treats you kindly.
Yep, but it never treats you kindly on good runs.
So he's actually backtracked all the way back to a place we were in Chapter 1 and 2 because the next area is to the north, and they have now spawned in a chest which contains a key to unlock the area to the north. And after that, might backtrack you into the next area.
So fun fact, if you were to do it casually, they did like the boss was saying, there's new stuff in the area and the new paths. If you actually went back there, there'd be a new PC and PC placement, and a Shadow Slenderman will actually spawn there also. So, but this time he took the jump point instead, so he didn't see Slenderman at all, which saves time anyway, better than walking all the way there.
Yep. Chapter 5 introduces the second function of mice hacking, which is revealing hidden chests, which we did mention a little bit earlier, but comes into play now. Some of them will contain keys to get past barriers, some of them will just contain useful equipment. You end up using both in this chapter because there's a useful weapon for Mai and a couple of keys which are absolutely necessary to actually reach the next boss.
For this one, he's going to choose a top choice because he needs to get the save point for the jump point.
Yeah, if I choose the bottom choice, it'll actually kick me out prematurely, and I can't enter the second area.
He has to go all the way.
Yeah, the choice doesn't really give a bad end, but
So the
of
next
course,
choice.
top choice is faster.
Well, when you get to this point here, you do have a bad end choice coming up, but he just wants to get the save point, and then it's easy from that point on. You also do gain control of 5 of the avatars of the Death End Request one. Questionable why they added that. I guess they just wanted to give you extra party members, but they start at level 20. So this is one of the things that we were talking about earlier about, like, it was using other characters. So you do have the Death End Request 1 quote-unquote avatars. Ah, damn, I forgot we could have added an incentive of the choice coming up soon.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about this game's element system at all, but there's like a basic Pokemon style element system where you got rock, paper, scissors, sun, star, moon, and sun is strong against star, star is strong against moon, moon is strong against sun. Like just a normal triangle. And that does make you deal more or less damage if you hit the type resist or the type weakness. It's nowhere near as relevant in this game as it was in the first game. So that's the reason why we haven't even brought it up until now, but sometimes particular enemies will be completely immune to a certain type, or will do what's known as a counter to a given type. That becomes relevant in Chapter 7, but for now, all I'll say is that those party members we got during this chapter, the main problem with them is that they can only really deal with one element each, while the 3 main characters in the game have access to all 3 elements at once. So that is the main reason why most, apart from the whole underleveled thing which Seafresh mentioned, the main reason why you end up sticking with the new characters a lot of the time is because they actually have that wide range of attacks.
Okay, so VGM went into a different menu in his start where he went to an episode chart. Episode chart is which given during the whole story, where if you do a bad end or do story, you can get money or extra equipment. So he went to go grab an equipment on there real quick to equip it to his characters. Now he's gonna be doing the Battle of Mother Fierist.
Spooky. She almost attacked Rati and Liliana there. Liliana can survive a hit, but Rati, not so much. I do need every party member alive in this if I want to be safe. I could YOLO it and do it with just 2, but I'd rather not in a marathon setting.
Yeah, so the main reason we got that equipment in the first place was to make this fight way more consistent, because this boss is actually really fast, but because of random turn order, Mai just happened to move first this time. If Mai doesn't go first, then the boss will always attack Liliana, and the equipment we got from the episode chart just happens to give Liliana enough defense to live 1 hit. The boss always attacks twice, so only Liliana will die and no one else, which makes the fight actually winnable. But since he moved first, no one died, and that is nice because it saves time.
That's a plot twist I'd ever seen.
So
I'm gonna go for it.
He's doing it.
So this fight had its own share of abuse of glitch mode to knock this boss down to a certain level of HP, and now it's got abuse of the same trip mine bugs that we did on the last boss, except this boss only has 3 of them. So you have to be very careful when you go for the kill, that you have her low enough so that the 3 trip mines will actually kill. If she takes a turn under half HP, she will heal for 100% of her HP every time. So if she gets an action under half, then you lose the fight basically, because you're not getting your trip mines back. But thankfully it worked out this time to where
GG.
all 3 trip mines got hit, and she took enough damage from the characters to finish her off.
Just mention that we do have an ongoing bid war for the ending of this game, and I think we're going to have to close it pretty soon. It's between the true ending, which I've heard is the boring ending, and the bad ending. Right now, the true ending is ahead by $4.
Oops, wrong location. Wrong location.
We have about 10, no, more like 20
20?
minutes. Yeah, 15-20 minutes until that needs to cut off. So, still got time, but it can also depend on luck, because Chapter 7, the last chapter before that gets cut off, has another EXP grind, and this one is way more RNG based than the first one.
Alright.
Perhaps not, but
Oh
it's more like
jeez.
upfront.
Enemies.
Okay, so just as we were talking about the PC key and VGM is hanging out with all the big boys.
If I got any of those encounters, I probably would have died.
So
Very scared.
the other feature for Mai is you saw the PC there. If you use the PC on the other side, you would find a hidden key code. So, but since VGM knew the key code already beforehand, he can just use the jump point and go from the back way, so you can go both ways. If you don't know it casually, you have to go all the way around just to unlock it. You would want to unlock it anyways, because you have to go back there at some point.
Another trip to the forest for corruption grind.
Crap. Really bad RNG. I could take this, I guess. I will have to reset the fight again, though.
Save point on it.
Yeah, not good luck on the random bug layouts during this corruption grind, but not terrible either.
Turn order. Come on, game.
Random turn order, and Roddy might get into glitch mode if you get a bad luck out this time.
Just mention that you're watching Questing for Glory, Hope and Healing. We're raising money for NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness. All of your donations go to a wonderful cause, so consider donating if you can. NAMI does a lot of work with education, support, awareness, and advocacy for mental illness. Thank you.
I'm actually going for a safety save there in case I get into any of these encounters, because it will end up resetting my corruption counter, which I do not want. And it will also probably lead to a death, which is also bad. Because you know what happened earlier when we died.
So, VG, you're requesting death, so this is where the name Death and Request comes, right?
Estimate.
Oh my god.
There are a lot more puns to react.
So this fight coming up, VGM has to make sure he's set up. Is a back-to-back fight, so the bomb will be explaining this fight a little bit more because these mobs are a little bit tanky.
I mean, yeah, this is technically actually kind of a mini-boss, because these enemies also appear out in the field. The big guy with, like, a green stripe. Or not a green stripe, but, like, green glowing parts.
Glowing costume.
What he's trying to do is kill off the ads as fast as possible. So he sets up Roddy to have speed, to hopefully go before at least one of the ads, because the ads are actually really, really fast. You set up Roddy to have speed, so that she goes as early as she can, depending on luck, and then slowly whittle away at the main guy, who doesn't do anything apart from hit really, really hard, but has a lot of HP, over 1 million.
I missed. Oh, it didn't die. Good. This guy is more than capable of one-shotting.
Yeah, the experience from this fight is not too important, thankfully, but...
The thing is, this is a back-to-back fight, so he has to it's a double fight, so he has
to ignore the second phase because you don't do it.
Yep. If you do actually want to save all of the dormates, you do actually have to go through, I think, 5 waves, but they get harder and harder, and on hard mode in a speedrun, yeah, chances of survival are very low.
So you saw that first fight had trip mines, which make the fight a lot easier. The second through 4th fights are similar, except there are no trip mines, so you have to whittle away at that massive HP bar without having any trip mines. And then the 5th and final battle, there are 2 of them, because why not? And there are still no trip mines, so you have to deal with 2 million plus HP enemies without any assistance. But in any case, since we took the easy way out, we let the dormates die, and we only have to deal with that one somewhat straightforward fight, provided that speed doesn't get way too unlucky. And now it's time for the XP grind, so this is the last chapter before the ending mid-war has to be closed, but this chapter will usually go on for quite a while. The next boss takes the whole big HP bars thing up to 11, has 3 million-ish health on hard mode, and that is a fairly substantial jump up from the last 2 bosses. We need, on hard mode, to realistically beat this boss, you either need to do a serious amount of knockback chains, which just aren't consistent setup in any way that we know up to this point, or you need to get an invincibility skill that isn't Mai's glitch mode, for 2 reasons. The first reason is that you don't get that many bugs to play with on this next boss battle, and Mai requires a lot of bugs to do her glitch mode spam. The second reason is that this boss is the first boss in the game that has a counter move, and counter moves are something the boss sets up. It gives them a status effect, and if you do something to trigger their counter, it will make them not take any damage, cancel the rest of your attacks, so that means you don't get invincibility if you're using Mai's glitch skill, for example, and they will attack you back. In the first game, there are also counters. The game didn't tell you about them, they just happened, but they didn't work on glitch skills. In this game, they do work on glitch skills, and Mai's glitch skill happens to fall under the counter of this next boss, so even if we did have enough bugs to use it for long enough to win the fight, it just wouldn't work at all.
So one of the items VGM picked up was a quest item, which is pretty much a free money, which he'll be using for the end. So to buy, I think buy equip with it, right?
Yeah.
That's why I say.
You need items with 2 different quests here. One of them gives you pure money, and the other one gives you a full party revival item.
You were just monkeying around.
Yeah, and like I said, running into a mob at this chapter on hard mode is pretty much guaranteed death. So this game is actually really stingy with good items.
You were doing RG manipulation.
Yeah, this game is really stingy with good items, and the only items you can really buy are single target heals, and I think in this chapter they finally let you start buying the weak revival items. But you cannot buy any items to restore your SP, or any items that let you do things from further away. So basically, getting a full party revive item that can hit the whole field is basically liquid gold for us. And if we pick up certain items during this chapter, we can get 1 extra full revive item.
8.1.
And yes, the voice volume has been turned down a little bit for the sanity of chat.
8.1.
I'm an idiot. I tagged the second. It's 8 no wonder.
And now we actually get to the grinding part. This game has, sometimes, in some chapters, this game has basically the equivalent of a metal slime or any JRPG equivalent like that. In this game, there are these skull enemies which are kind of weak but give a lot of experience, and there happens to be a golden one which is faster, a little bit stronger, but gives even more experience. And what we want to grab, or what we want to grind on, is those particular enemies, either gold or green ones. The green one, the one he's fighting now, gives less experience, but the gold one is rare enough that you need to fight the green ones to make the grind take a reasonable amount of time. And it's not like a crazy difference either.
And unfortunately, the gold enemies in the second area of this, yeah, it's just a one-shot basically. We're not going to be able to fight those.
Yeah, the party composition that the enemies come with changes based on the area you're in. The first area here has good party compositions where you only have the skulls. The second area, even if he does see a gold skull, it will have a bunch of other assistant enemies which are much stronger, and I don't know if they actually give less experience, but they don't give any substantial improvement on the experience, and they just one-shot your party basically, even if you move first. They're just not worth fighting.
Wow,
So
I'm getting
really
terrible arch.
Yeah. 2 greens and no golds so far, or is it 3 greens, but either way.
Yeah, no gold so far, I don't believe. I think greens give half XP?
Yeah,
compared to the
roughly
gold
half.
encounters.
I mean, the thing that makes it worth fighting greens is that when you fight a gold, you only get 1 gold and the rest is still green. So
Yeah, we
it's
actually need
only
a
really
level
worth.
56. Yeah.
So it's worth
We are-
fighting any skull you see, even if it's green.
I think we are 13 levels off from where we need to be.
Something like that, yeah. We need level 55 on one of the characters we just put into the party. We're actually using characters that aren't the main 3 now, because they happen to have specialist skills that are actually useful on the boss fights in late game. And in order to make this fight...
Nice to meet you.
Oh, nice double gold. Yeah, in order to make this long
fairly
boss battle take a reasonable amount of time, we want to level up a particular party member to 55. But yes, after no golds for ages, you get 2 in a row, because luck is a thing.
Just jump in and mention we just got a $10 donation from Shadow Killer. Thank you very much. We're raising money for NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness. All of your donations go to that. NAMI wants you to know that it is okay to not be okay right now. It's a rough year for a lot of people. If you want more information, go to nami.org. Go ahead.
I was just about to know myself.
Yeah, it's just 1 level off what he needs to be to finish this grind, so that's unlucky. Gotta find 1 more fight.
I'm currently losing, from what I'm seeing on my splits, I'm losing 3 minutes over PB on this grind, which would basically mean a dead run if this was PB attempts.
But 1 final green guy will do it. You can see that the gold guys also share some other characteristics from metal slimes in that they run away from you instead of towards you. There are some other enemies that will run away from you, but it is mostly just the golden skulls that do that.
8 point donate.
But the green ones will run towards you like any other enemy. And level 59 has been achieved on Claire and Celica, the 2 new characters. So now it is time to learn new skills for them.
Literally, the game is telling you to save in Death and Request game.
Yep.
Okay, good, we got the flash.
So he used a specific combination of skills there to increase the chances of learning the skill he wants from 20% to 80%, to make it a fairly consistent to learn the skill in one try.
Oh boy, 2 go boys. Too bad we'll die if we fight them.
Yeah, we also got a bit of pixelation on the game feed just then, unfortunately, but I think we could see a few gold pixels.
Yeah, now the game's just mocking me.
Oh yeah, you can see that the green guy here has allies that are not green guys and kill you really quickly. Fortunately, only one party member died this time. And corruption isn't really important going into the next fight. It's nice if you can bring in a little bit, but you can deal with not having any at the start.
Okay, I go first. Taking this really slowly.
Also, we're almost coming to the closing of the bid war. Once he defeats his last boss, it's pretty much will close the war.
Yeah, this boss will take a couple of minutes, but that's all the time you have to choose the ending if you want to change it. It's still only a $4 gap from what we can see on the website. So now, take off all the good gear that the old party members had. We're not going to use them again for a couple of chapters at the very least, so equip the new party members with all the good gear. Celica is one that we just learned an invincibility skill on. We gear her for speed to make sure she always outspeeds the boss every turn. Claire is going to be a new attacker. You gear her mostly for physical attack with a little bit towards speed just so she goes before the boss most of the time.
I promise I know those menus. I lost a lot of time on that. It's unfortunate.
That's alright.
Gonna be collecting a lot of all bugs here. They all bugs scale your stats quite a bit. And Clea also happens to be one of our most dangerous damage dealers. So when all bug strength boosted Clea, especially if you can get double strength boosts through other party skills, it's really powerful.
Yeah, an all bug, like saying it's those white and grey glowing bugs on the floor, they've shown up a few times before. This is the first time they've been on a boss. They double all of your stats, which is just as OP as it sounds. And this fight is, the all bug is so busted in combination with something else that we will probably explain a little more detail on the boss after this one. It's so busted that we only really care about Clea, and we have Roddy in here as a party member purely just to fill the slot. And she just dies and is left dead for the rest of the fight. Celica is there to tank all the hits, and Claire does all of the damage.
Seems like she had a rotten time here.
Sure did.
Yeah, Clea is the party member that I said I got to do 2.5-ish million damage in a single attack.
Yeah. We'll go into the details of how that works on the next boss, because I think it's a better demonstration of it, but for now you can just see that Claire is hitting some really big damage numbers with her skill. And considering we said this guy had 3 million HP. He went down pretty quickly.
You can add the bid war.
We technically have one more chapter, but yeah, this would be a good point to close it to prevent any 5-minute snipes and them not getting processed in time.
Right, exactly. I do not want to encourage people to attempt to snipe a donation that we may not be able to process in time. Right now, True Ending is ahead by $4.
Okay.
This is a relatively short chapter, but it is long enough to give any donations that are still being processed time to happen.
Okay.
Right after that is the cutoff.
Choice.
Well, after that is when he actually has to start changing his strategy based on the ending.
For chapter 8, there is a trick question there, especially for new casual players, because there is a save point there, and technically some new players will think that, oh, it's a boss fight, they'll go and save there without knowing. Depending on what choice they did in the first, it's a trick question, so you can actually game over. But I think
Yeah, if I would have picked the top choice, it would have been death. Thankfully, this game has a back to last choice system, which I'm pretty sure they might have implemented just because of that choice right there. So otherwise, if this was going by the first game's rules, you would have literally soft-locked your entire save. That's fun.
Oh, this is where the game gets fun because Slenderman likes to appear everywhere here.
You will be trying to snipe us on a transition here pretty soon. You need to be careful.
So there's a... So if you were doing this casually, and you never knew that you can go through the wall without any need, and you went through there, there is like one part of where you think you can go through, but you can't go through. So the layout of the map is terrible.
Yeah, this map is just a very clear demonstration of this game's questionable collision, and I mean, it is intentional to a certain degree. Like, they do deliberately put stuff in your way to make you more likely to be caught by the Slender Man, because he does move pretty slowly, if you've noticed. If you're just doing like a direct race, he will never catch you ever, but they place all this stuff in the middle of the roads and such to make it actually somewhat tricky to avoid him at times.
So they did that Slenderman on purpose there, pretty much to scare people, jump scare people.
Yeah, depending on where you walk there, he can actually spawn like right in the middle of the road, and it gets pretty scary because you're trying to go fast, and you have just really small amount of time to course correct. Otherwise, you're gonna game over, and it's over at that point. Thankfully, it's pretty easy to avoid getting insta-game overed there. Yeah, this is when the game starts to get pretty mean in terms of design. It's not gonna let up either.
He's also just picked up a weapon for Mai. We're not actually going to use her for damage because we're not doing full ending. But that weapon is still necessary just because it gives such a ridiculous amount of speed. It's basically the highest speed weapon you have access to for any character in the whole game. At least until New Game Plus. Gives almost 200 speed on its own.
Yep, there's another Slenderman. He's waiting for you on the other side of the wall.
Yeah, that one isn't a guaranteed swan though. Like, the one at the end of the first area is guaranteed swan.
I know. He's saying death's waiting you.
And one final visit to our favorite forest for one final corruption grind. Because after this chapter, we will no longer have access to that forest. But yeah, all you really need is corruption on Claire. The other two are fine. You're also gonna get rid of Roddy to bring in Mai, just so she can use that new weapon.
Oh my.
And set her up for speed, which... No.
I am completely having an issue right now with this menu.
Where are your hands?
Didn't know what I was doing at some point. Wait, what?
Oh boy. Where is your hands amulet?
Oh, right. Her equips. Right. This is a problem. I should have.
No.
Okay,
it's fine. Like, these are items you can buy from the shop, so even if he didn't have them, he could just go and buy them, but... Yes, menu boss is strong.
Usually my menus are okay, it must be marathon luck. Okay, good, I go first.
Yeah, so this is a RNG speed boss, which is very strong because this boss on hard mode has like over 700 speed. You can reach that on your two fastest characters, but it's still luck whether you outspeed her or not.
What big hands you have!
So this boss is where we abuse knockback mechanics. In this game, we did talk about how busted knockback is before. Like, it is just ridiculous the amount of damage you can do with it. But it happens to scale off the amount of damage you do in one single hit. And yeah, I'll let VGM explain what he's doing.
Ah, missed it. I could have actually killed the boss right there. And it has like a million-ish HP. It's pretty busted. Unfortunately, luck was not on my side and I had a wrong angle. Yeah. I think mine's gonna die this turn.
That's fine.
It's fine.
So what he's trying to do is set up a knockback chain where the boss just ping-pongs off a bunch of different surfaces like the edge of the arena or other characters. And Claire, the character that he's attacking with, as opposed to just defending or guarding or using invincibility skills, she has the highest single hit skill that we have access to in the game, and it is just the highest in the game period as well.
Okay, this could be a problem. I kill the boss.
She can do 500 damage with a single hit, which is a fair bit higher than anyone else can. But yeah, as soon as you get one good knockback chain, that boss dies.
Ping pong.
Okay,
And
chapter 9.
you know chapter 9 is the worst, right?
We're going into chapter 10.
Yeah,
Shortest chapter in the entire game. That's it.
the cutscene chapter, for some reason.
Okay, so we are doing Truant, correct?
True end.
Yeah. Let me make one final check, but it had not shifted in a little while. Yes, the final tally is bad ending, $75, true ending, $79.
Don't worry, Chad. You got game music coming up soon.
So now it's time for a grind. You need to reach a certain level. You don't actually really need the level that much on True End. You do need to be level 65 to have a good chance at learning a better invincibility skill in Celica, but the main thing you actually need here on True End is money. So he needs to grind until he has about 700k money to afford the equipment he needs to beat the boss. And he'll get some levels along the way to reach around level 65, like I said.
Also, this area is with the big boys, big leagues.
Yeah, this is Idea Factory in a nutshell. For their recent games, they like spamming really big enemies, especially later on in the games. This game is no exception.
And in turn, their endings get really brutal. This game in particular, yeah, we're not going to be able to beat the final boss unless we use invincibility moves. It's just not happening. At all. No way.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember those dark days.
So this is a really good fight, actually.
Yeah, this is the best possible fight he can find for experience, and it's not bad for money either. It only gave like 130k money, but it gives like three levels of experience, and the more levels he has for the final bosses, it gets slightly safer and slightly faster.
Alright, so to clarify between the two endings, if you were to play it casually, you might get the bad end easily and casual because you just don't know what you're doing. Bad end is basically the full end, where you have to fight the final boss as solo Mai, which has much where Mai has to survive, but at least the boss only does one attack a time only, so it's just trying to survive every single turn and managing your SP. While in True End, you have to survive and beat the first fight in order to get to the final fights, which you'll see later on. So,
yeah, in the run, the memes kind of trade out between endings. In Bad End, I forget, what is it, like a 30% chance to even survive the first turn of the fight?
Yeah. But once you've survived the first turn, you win the fight. Unless you screw up yourself.
Can I jump in with an announcement?
go ahead.
Sure.
Okay, we're gonna have to cut off all of the DQ3 names, which are up for a bid war, right at the beginning of the next run. So if you want to bid on those, and there are many people who are actively bidding on it, and there's some really awesome names in there, you're gonna have to put that in pretty soon in order for it to be processed. So please check it out. Consider donating to NAMI. And also, we're about $50 or $60 short of having the end credits be sung for Dragon Quest III, and I know we all want that. So please consider doing it. Thank you.
Okay, we happen to actually meet level 66 exactly, so Yeah, cursed, I guess.
Do we have the money?
829k.
Yeah, good enough. He did pick up a quest item earlier in the game which gives him an extra 150 if needed, but it won't actually be needed this time because the enemies just haven't given enough money.
Yeah, there was a run where I got so good fight RNG that I kind of needed the quest item, and that was the one run where I didn't pick it up, so I lost about like 2 or 3 minutes to that. It was really unfortunate.
Yeah, on the Fallen ending, you need a specific level in order to be able to live a turn, and if you can't live a turn, then you can't win the fight, barring like insane RNG, because the fight lasts maybe 50 plus turns, and you have to roll crazy luck to survive every turn. So you just need level 66 to do the Fallen ending. On True Ending, like I said, you mainly just want the level so that
Did you
the
just
fights go faster.
avoid an encounter?
Yep.
That's against the rules.
SMH.
Yeah,
So we're
this
gonna be
game actually has 3D hitboxes that don't expend infinitely. In Neptunia games, the enemies have like infinite vertical height.
Oh my god, I didn't believe that.
In Death End Request, they do not. You can actually jump over small mobs, only small ones though.
I'll give you $5 to jump over these big enemies. It's impossible. Yeah, so VGM's doing his last shopping spree here because we're pretty much getting to the very end. All this money.
Chance to check. Okay, good. I do have that skill, because if I go on to the next fight and I don't have that skill, it's going to be a real pain to try to get it, because I have died on that fight.
Yeah.
And this force fight coming up has a time limit. If I can't win within the time limit, I need like a specific skill to really be able to do any damage at all of these things. Then I will default to bad end, and we don't want that.
Okay.
I want true end.
There is 2 different setups for this one. For the bad end achievement, a lot of people got it casually because they got the first method. First method is dying, while the second method is just ending your turn until the it's pretty much it's considering giving up. So those are the 2 options. Everyone got mostly option 1.
Yeah, on my casual playthrough, whenever I did this, I actually couldn't, for the longest time, figure out how to not get completely party wiped here. Like, this endgame is brutal casually. Also, I forgot to split. Oh well.
Anyone want to tell how much agility the butterflies have?
They have 1,170 agility. We're not getting anywhere near that. At all.
On bad end, you have to basically go for the chance that the computer is nice to you and gives you the luck to outspeed them because you get an advantage in like outspeed luck, where their speed can get reduced by up to 50%, but yours is only reduced by up to 20%.
What's the time for the final boss music?
In True Ending, we have more freedom with our party members and such, so we actually set up our party so that they can survive long enough to be guaranteed to get a turn before getting fully wiped. And that is how we win the fight instead. But in Bad End, you are going for a luck sack win by outspeeding them just by pure luck.
I didn't set them in the right position, so I'm dying this turn.
Yeah. Because you only set up 2 party members to be able to live a hit. And if you set them in the wrong position, then the wrong party members get attacked.
Yup. Okay. I also didn't have Silica in the correct slot.
Yeah.
I believe.
Silica, you set up for speed. Because the main final boss is that giant bug thing, and it is not as fast as its ads. It is, like, not insanely slow, but only really as fast as the last boss. It has like 700 speed, so you can outspeed it 99% of the time. Like, actually 99% of the time with Celica if you set up for speed. in that 1% you just die, but that's not what happened there. What happened there is he had Celica in the wrong slot, so she got attacked, and she dies in one hit, and that makes you lose the fight.
Okay, much
If you
better
do
start.
fight correctly, then Celica is the only one that lives after the 4 bugs attack, or she might even outspeed 1 or 2 bugs, depending on luck. But she'll nearly always, 99% of the time, go ahead of the actual boss, which is the one that would always kill her. But before the boss is able to do that, you set up an invincibility skill of your own, and then clear out the bugs before you try and get back your other party members. The ads happen to be only vulnerable to magic, really. You can hit them with physical, but they have ridiculously high evasion against any physical skill. So
I just realized something that I forgot. This is
I'm
gonna
guessing
make
you're missing one of those revival items.
I am. Of course. It was. Of course. I have one.
I think you should try and do it without that in this fight then, because the second fight you don't want to reload. Oh well, too late.
YOLO. Why not?
Yold it, everyone.
So remember how I said they a little earlier on in the commentary that they were really stingy with really good healing items? Well, you get access to 2 whole full party revives in the whole game, like per New Game Plus cycle. So he missed one of them, so he only has 1. And it's probably not a huge spoiler to say that this boss has 2 phases, considering it's the RPG final boss, and that is just something that they do. So on the second phase, he's going to have to try and win the fight without having one of those items.
I will still never. Go
Just want
ahead.
to jump in with a quick donation. We just got $5 from Corito146. Thank you very much. Good luck on the final boss.
Yeah, I'm gonna need it, especially on phase 2. This is not gonna be pretty. We're gonna have to go to old route strats, which oh boy.
So to clarify, my dying here and staying dead is completely intentional. We're not going to revive her again. She is just there to be in the way, as one of her favourite English first line goes. She's actually there to be to just have her body be on the ground so that we can bounce attacks off her hitbox. And if we do get fortunate with, not really luck, but like basically luck because it's all pixel perfect angle stuff. If we do get lucky enough, then we might be able to get some really good knockback chains by using Celica's alive hitbox and Mai's dead hitbox, and just bouncing players' shots off them.
Okay, so what VGM means by old strats for when the game first came out, we were using Key, who originally routed this game, where he used Celica just to over Aegis, or is it Aegis Absorb, where you become invincible and attack invincible, so that you live with 1 HP, and you would have 2 party members usually ranging from afar, but in this case he's doing half of it, but his method is right now ranging with Claire from afar, while Celica
That was a mistake. That was a very major mistake. Uh-oh. I need to get glitch back.
Yeah, so it turns out, like Fresh was saying, the initial strat was using 2 party members from range to slowly whittle down the boss while Celica used invincibility. The Celica using invincibility thing has stayed, but what we changed is that it turns out to be not worth it to attack with a second party member because Claire is just that busted. So what he's actually going to have to do on the second phase is somehow manage to revive his party members while being close to them. And you might recall what I said earlier about how the only way a boss will target someone who's not close to them is if you happen to have 2 party members next to each other. And the only revival items he has left in order to set up the damage for the second phase are ones which require you to be extremely close to each other. But yeah, in regards of damage, each phase of this final boss has 5 million HP. and Claire's killing it in maybe 10 to 20 turns, depending on how good you are with your knockbacks. So she is dealing a lot of damage.
Okay, focus. Because this is going to get really hectic really fast. It's going to be a lot of praying to RNG here.
What's the scatter say on the bow's power level?
This time Celica went before one of the bugs, so one party member is still alive, but the chance of that party member actually getting to take their turn is basically nothing. The actual boss will basically always finish them off.
Also, a neat little fun fact, on one of the older routes, there was like, what was it, a 10% chance that we could get completely party wiped on first turn of second phase, which is very fun.
Yeah, and now it's
very fun.
Now it's 0.3%, so a substantial improvement, but still a chance which you really don't want at the end of your run, but given the way this game's speed mechanics works, it's pretty much unavoidable.
Yeah, see a question you had about how much damage Clay is doing. In that first phase, it was around, I want to say, 200,000 damage on average per turn? Maybe a bit more, but I have managed, on this phase in particular, 2.5 million damage. So it's very possible to deal very high amounts of damage, especially in this phase. But, oh dear lord, this is, uh-oh.
Now we are trying to resurrect another party member without having the full party revive item, so we have to be close to them. And he only has 3 regular items. So this is not going to be easy.
No, it's... I don't even have revive... Is there any revival skills on Celica that I can flash?
Nope.
No?
My.
No.
None?
Nope. Mai has one, but...
Great.
That's not really going to help you.
No? No, it's not. Oh boy.
Let me just double triple check that I'm actually telling you the truth, but I'm like 99% sure she doesn't have one. Oh, she does have one, but I don't think you have access to it.
What is it?
Medibends. But do you have that move? No.
How do I flash that?
Okay, so you need to Aegis Absorb, Medipalebe, and then Astapalza, and that should get you Medibends eventually.
These are not all strats. Pretty much he forgot to pick up the all revival all item. So he used it on the first phase when you're supposed to use the second item on this phase to revive everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a 40% flash, so it'll take a few tries.
Oh jeez. Oh boy. Well, we might be in a bit of trouble.
Well, 40% shouldn't be taking this long.
Okay, that was Comet Fang.
Oh yeah, that. Oh, so you got priority flashed. Yeah, because. So, flash skills, it will try to pick certain ones in a certain order, and it tried to pick Comet Fang first, which is only a 20% chance, which is why it's taking.
Double check it is Aegis Absorb Mediploy by Astapalza.
Well, I'm making you do Aegis Absorb so you don't die. That's the other two, which are important.
Mediploy by Astapalza in that order, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's 40%, so but you've only had 2 chances so far because you had to learn Comet Fang first.
I need SP, so after that it is what?
Yeah, so just go Aegis Absorb, Medibends. You don't really have any other choice.
Fun.
Just want to just want to remind people that if you want to bid on the names for Dragon Quest III, for the characters, you're going to have to get those bids in pretty soon. We're going to be cutting it off during the stream switch. They need to know the names at the beginning of the next run, so check out the potential bids and try to get your name in. Thank you.
So after all that, he's managed to learn a revival skill, which means we're not reliant on very limited revival items anymore. Unfortunately, you're still limited by the amount of SP you can get, and that is like a certain amount, so he may lose this fight if he gets too unlucky on the boss constantly killing off Claire after he revives her. It's really just
Yeah, up to RNG at this point on whether or not I survive. I think that was a delete. That was a delete. Delete is basically a one-shot. I need to get really lucky, which I am not getting lucky at all. I want you to get knocked back. Please, please. Okay, I have a chance. But that position is terrible.
Yeah, I think you just have to kill your bugs. I don't think you have any other choice. Like, even if the flight is slow, you have to kill those bugs.
But which way do I knock her back?
That is a very good question. I think you're just going to have to luck second hope. Like, maybe where you are now, go up to her on the other side from where Claire is, and then knock her away from Claire.
Go up to where?
Amazing.
Like, be on the far end from where Claire is, like along her longest axis. Go to the far side, like directly opposite Claire.
Right here?
No, like along her length. Go to the other side, and now knock. Yeah, from here, like turn 180 so that you're knocking her away from Claire.
Just like this?
Oh, go further along her, and then but still knock her.
I'm in that direction.
Lengthways, so her longest side. Yeah. Like walk a little bit further.
This way.
No. No. I mean,
This way.
okay, so go on the opposite side of her from where Claire is. Turn so that you're knocking her away from Claire still. And fire.
Yeah, I have never had to do this in a run before, so I am really sorry. There's potential? No.
Sorry. This is quality entertainment. This is great. This is the best run ever. You're doing awesome.
Okay, he's alive.
It actually worked.
I can actually beat the boss now, I think. Maybe. I have a chance.
Yeah, I mean he should win now, but we are going to have a slow fight.
Yeah, that is not what I wanted to do in the slightest.
It works.
At least we're in winnable territory. I do have SP bugs left over though, so I am still safe.
And you have an all bug somewhere.
Do I?
Yeah, just
I do. Yes. Where is that? I need to get that now. There it is. Okay. Yeah, no, normally this boss, both phases would only take a combined total of 8 minutes, meaning these fights are, like, done really fast, but I messed up a lot. Like I thought I would. Hey, it led to more entertainment, though.
He messed up in the most, like, easiest way to mess up, which is forgetting the revival item, which causes real shenanigans, and from there we were just trying to scramble to find a backup using, like, the paste bin we have of how you get certain skills, or how you get all the skills in the game, to make him learn useful ones.
Not only that, he was really limited on bugs to get SP, and he's limited on a lot of stuff, so he can't really scramble on items or revive people constantly. So they have to find the skill set to do it. But that doesn't solve the issue on his SP. So they have to resolve how to get Claire out of this.
Claire has been saved now, but he's much lower on bugs than he usually would be, so...
Yeah, he's the manage this.
Yeah, no.
You have enough SP items to survive, I think, but... Yeah. You pick up some SP items in chests, and you get some from boss drops. But...
It's unfortunate that we went over estimate, but, I mean, it's expected considering what the heck happened in the final boss. I am losing over... Jeez, I've lost over 8 minutes over my PB. Currently. Just in 6 minutes in this phase alone. And we're only halfway done.
I'm here for the music.
What you're saying is we have 3 bonus speedrun?
Huh?
We'll go with that, yes.
I like it.
So wait, so this is true end and bad end at the same time because VGM having a bad end. Ah.
I definitely had a panic attack there. For sure, I'm really sorry about the estimate, but...
Just means more time to bid on names for Dragon Quest 3. Please check out the bid options.
Oh, damn it. Do I still have I do still have SP bucks.
Yeah,
Good.
you just need to preemptively do it next time.
Yes.
Yeah, because now that he's used all the SP bugs, if he enters a turn with less than 60 SP on Celica, he probably dies. So he needs to
living at
watch
that point is
Celica's
not happening.
Yeah, I mean, you can use Over Aegis if you've got 40, and you'll usually live, but that opens up another 0.3% chance of dying, so... Yeah, you just need to be careful, because she uses 90 a turn whenever you click to use her combo.
Hey VGM. Are you glad that this boss doesn't heal?
Yes, oh my lord. Oh, by the way, time ends on result screen. I will shout out time. That is. It is coming up really soon.
Yeah, thankfully it doesn't look like he's even going to have to use a single SP item, or if it is, it's only going to be 1.
That is... okay. And time is... time.
GG.
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 Oh my gosh.
That was much more stressful than expected.
That
was awesome!
That was arguably more stressful than some of the first runs I've done of this game.
Oh my god!
That fight should have only taken 4 minutes. It took me 12.
Oh my god!
Okay, well, like, to put that into perspective though, even if it was more stressful than those first runs, that fight took 15 minutes, so that's what routing can do to a game.
Yeah.
It took 15 minutes when it went as intended for the first runs of the game. It has only been, what is it, like 3 months since the game came out in English now, so that is what speedruns can do, especially JRPG speedruns.
Originally, the final boss for when VGM did this, it took almost 20 to 30 minutes, so this is still better than 30 minutes.
And that was her phase. The final boss was literally an hour-long gauntlet in the very first run.
Well, thank you very much. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go. GG. Go.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say thank you very much for running that game. That was a lot of fun. And seriously, that was a lot of fun to watch. I'm very happy to have been there for that. That was super cool.
That was,
I was entertained. I can assure you.
I honestly was incredibly scared. I did not think I was going to be able to beat that boss at all. I thought it was going to be run forfeit, because there have been a few runs where I have had to forfeit because the true end was impossible. Literally. Which is why I said earlier, accidental bad end. Thankfully, we didn't have to do that.
Well, GG VGM, you did it, man. And before you actually cut us off, I want to thank you guys for having our community actually join this marathon in RPG Limit Break. I want to give a huge more shout out to Ideal Factory because they have provided us the Steam codes for Super NEP RPG and Death End Request 2. So if you guys donated during that, you guys can get this for the marathon charity. So thank you very much for having us.
Yeah, no, thank you for coming. I want to thank VGM for running the game. It was super awesome. Thank Dabum Stew and Zfresh Pinoy for showing up and doing commentary. Hopefully you can follow them all on Twitch and check them out. Now I want to thank El Magus for showing up and doing some emergency restreaming for us all. Thank you very much. Is there anything else you want to say? Any shout outs you want to say before we shift over?
Shout outs to the Quest for Glory community and RPG Limit Break for having us, and like I said, Ideal Factory for helping. VGM, your side?
The only thing I can really say is speedrunning community for Idea Factory games. I came in for NEP and I stayed for everything else. If it's possible for us to plug the Discord, we can. If one of you two can get the link for that posted in chat. Yeah, we're
probably
really
won't let us post directly, will it? We'd have to get someone to approve it, but
Yeah, I'm sure the speedrun Discord would be approved. If I think it might have to be approved by one of the mods, but it'll be okay.
yeah, that's what I mean. Like, if there's a mod around or whatever to do that, but yeah, thanks for having us. As the others have said.
Cool. Up next, we got Dragon Quest III by Hactical. You're gonna have to put, if you're gonna bid on the names, you're gonna have to do it like right now. We're gonna cut off the donations during the stream switch, so you got to do it like now. You know, if that makes sense for it to be processed in time. And pay attention to the bid war to get them to sing the end credits. They're still about $60 short of that, maybe a little bit more. So you've got to get that in. And apart from that, thank you for hanging out and watching Questing for Glory, Open Healing. We're raising money to benefit NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness. And all the donations, everything goes straight to NAMI. It is an awesome charity that helps out people with mental health and has a mental health hotline that you can call. I'll put the number in chat in case you need to talk to somebody. And with 2020 being 2020, there's a reasonable chance that is the case. Thank you all for hanging out, for being in chat, for lurking, for being awesome. And thank you for watching this marathon.